So the other day I was meditating on the toilet and I couldn't stop thinking about the US men's national team group in the World Cup, okay? The one with Turkey, Australia, and Paraguay. And I have a lot of thoughts on this group. And unfortunately, we live in an era these days where trash talk is dead, the game is gone. You have to respect the opponent, so you can't call the opponent trash. But I'm just going to say it. This is a weak group. This is an easy World Cup group. Probably the easiest one the United States has ever been a part of. And, you know, before you start cursing me out, calling me names, and saying Paraguay is underrated and Turkey's going to have a Cinderella story like 2002. Underdog and Yildiz will lead them to glory. Or Australia, I don't know what you're going to say about Australia. I mean, this is a country that lost a war to emus, to birds. But before you hate on me, please hear me out. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today I want to talk about the World Cup, more specifically about Group D. Now, will I mention other groups? For sure, but my main focus will be Group D, with the US, Turkey, Paraguay, and Australia. And I'm sorry, someone had to say it, right? No one wants to say it, but someone had to do it, and I'm doing it. Group D is a weak group. Someone had to say it, just like someone had to release the alien files with a bunch of crap recordings from 40 to 50 years ago. Like, everyone has iPhones these days, and we can't get one freaking high-resolution recording of an alien in these whole files that they released. We can't get one recording of a freaking alien ordering McDonald's or scalping Pokemon cards. Like, I'm able to get wonderful recordings of Colombians invading the Copa America final stadium, but we can't get one high-quality alien recording. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here. The focus is the World Cup. I apologize for that. It's just that the alien files is pissing me off. Okay, so let's talk about Group D. And this video is brought to you by Underdog, but more on that later. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoy this type of content, and subscribe if you want to see some good World Cup coverage or bad World Cup coverage. Depends on what are your thoughts on me. Like, I have thoughts on Group D. You have your thoughts on me. Let me know in the comment section. And with that said, let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to go team by team in this group, and then later in this video, I'm going to go through every single group the United States has been placed in the past, from 1994 all the way to 2022. I'm not going to go to the 1991. That doesn't matter for this video. But listen, we live in an era where everyone says that you need to respect your opponent and you can't do this and that or say this about them. But the United States, or the US men's national team, is not respected internationally. So I don't understand why we have to over-respect teams that are not that great. Now, Paraguay, do they have a bad team? No. Do they have a good team? Also no. Turkey, do they have a bad team? No. Do they have a good team? No. They're going to be very heavively dependent on Yildiz and Underdog. Australia, do they have a bad team? Yes. Right now they do. This is a very bad version of Australia. We've seen good Australian national teams. This one ain't it. And let's put it this way. If you look at Group D, and the reason Group D is weak is also because the United States is in it. But look at it this way. Turkey. Every group needs a European team, right? That's a FIFA rule. Because there are 16 European nations in the World Cup, and you have 12 groups, every group must have at least one European nation. That's the strongest confederation. So if you only have one European team in your group, that's already a win. And that's the case for this group. And out of all Europeans that we could have had, we got Turkey. Are they the worst ones? No. I think them with Bosnia, they go toe-to-toe. Like, Turkey might be more talented, but it's toe-to-toe. The Czech Republic. But I would say Turkey is probably, out of the 16, they're ranked like 12th of the European nations. So we got one of the weakest European teams in the World Cup. Then we have Australia. In my opinion, one of the weakest Asian teams in the World Cup. And you may be saying Australia is not Asian. They play in the Asian Confederation. Right now, they're worse than South Korea. They're worse than Iran, that's supposed to go to the World Cup at the time of this recording. They're worse than Japan. Honestly, I think they're worse than Saudi Arabia as well. So Australia is among the worst Asian nations. And then you have Paraguay. Paraguay is a strong team. They're not a strong team, sorry. They have a very strong defense, right? And then they have a few players like Enciso, Miguel Miron. They just got Mauricio, a Brazilian Paraguayan that plays for Palmeiras, Sosa, Gustavo Gomes on the defense. I know a lot about Paraguay, and that defense is solid. But it's not a super talented team, right? And Paraguay right now, they are the worst team out of the CONMEBOL nations that qualified, okay? Here are the CONMEBOL nations. So you tell me, Brazil, Paraguay's worse. Argentina, Paraguay's worse. Uruguay, Paraguay's worse. Ecuador, Paraguay's worse. Colombia, Paraguay's worse. They're the worst CONMEBOL nation. So we literally got, in this group, one of the worst European teams, one of the worst Asian nations, and one of the worst, not the worst, actually, not one of, the worst CONMEBOL nation, okay, in this group. And then on top of that, we have a host nation on pot 1, the United States of America, which is not a candidate to win the World Cup. They're not also a candidate to even go deep, okay? So you look at this group, Group D, we have no teams in Group D, 0 teams that are expected to make it to even a quarterfinals. Like, all these teams would probably be eliminated by the round of 16. Now, do I want the United States to go further? Yes, of course I do. But I just have to be honest here, okay? I don't want to lie. The reality is Turkey, Paraguay, Australia, United States, if they make it to the round of 16 in this World Cup, it's a fine World Cup for them. Anything after that is an overachievement. And why do I keep saying this group is easy? On top of having weak teams in this group, this World Cup, the top 2 advance, and the 8 best third place teams advance as well. So you could finish in 3rd place in this group and still advance. That's not the case from the World Cups from 1998 all the way to 2022, which I'm going to go through the groups of the United States very soon. This is very likely, when we go through all the groups, we'll find out, the easiest group the United States has ever had. If the United States gets grouped at home with these teams in it, and with the possibility of advancing in 3rd place, we might as well quit soccer at this point. It's just not meant for us. We just stop playing it forever. There's no point if this happens. Before I go through the groups of the United States from 1994 to 2022, I want to say one thing. You may be wondering, did we just get lucky? Is it rigged for this World Cup? And no, not really. Like, this World Cup has been expanded to 48 nations. I believe from 1998 to 2022, we've had 32 nations. 1994 was less. So what happens is when you obviously expand, you dilute talent, right? It's much more diluted than in the past. And that's one of the reasons. Now, the other reason why this group is so easy and there's no title contender was because the United States is a host nation. So we're pot 1, which eliminates eliminates pretty much every single title contender, right? They're mostly pot 1. They're higher ranked in the FIFA rankings. So it's not just the US group. I would argue that the weakest groups in this World Cup are the ones with the host nation. You look at Mexico, the Czech Republic, South Africa, and South Korea. That's not a tough, it's a tougher group than ours, in my opinion, but it's also a pretty weak group. And then you look at Canada, right? Canada actually has 2 European nations in this group, and it's still not that strong of a group. You have Canada, Bosnia, which honestly, Italy should have been there, but congrats to Bosnia. They were able to knock out Italy because Italy they refuse to play in the World Cup these days. They've been boycotting World Cups 3 times in a row. They didn't want to play in Russia, didn't want to play in Qatar, now they don't want to play in the United States. They've been boycotting it quite a bit. They don't want to play. So Bosnia made it. And then you have Qatar, which I know they're the Asian Cup champions, but they're still, in my opinion, in terms of talent, on the weaker side of the Asian nations, Qatar. And we saw that in the 2022 World Cup. We've seen that in the Gold Cup when they play here. So all the groups with the host nations are very weak groups. They're groups of they're honestly the weakest groups I've seen in modern World Cup. Think about it for a second. If you go to Group A with Mexico, Group B with Canada, and Group D with the United States, there's only one team that is kind of expected to make it to the quarterfinals. Literally one team out of those 3 groups, and that's Switzerland. And they're not like the favorites to make it to the quarterfinals. It's just that Switzerland is actually a very good team. And if they do make it to the quarterfinals, I wouldn't be surprised. But isn't this crazy? 3 groups, 12 teams. There's not more than one that is expected to make it to the quarterfinals. And even so, they might not make it. Now listen, when I say the groups are easy, obviously the context matters. There's no easy groups in the World Cup, right? They're easy compared to what you can get in the World Cup and compared to previous editions. So why don't we do that right now? I want to go through the groups that the United States was placed in the past, just so you can kind of see how much weaker this group is. Essentially what I'm saying is that it's easy by World Cup standards. Okay, that's what I'm saying, because there's no scrub teams in the World Cup. Now, before we continue and go through all the groups of the past, a quick word from our sponsor, Underdog. Don't go anywhere. Drop a like in this video, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. Do not go anywhere. So, The biggest soccer event in the world will happen here in the United States this summer. Or shall I say, the biggest sporting event in the world. And you know what can make it a little bit more exciting? Underdog. And the game I like to play at Underdog is called Pick'em. And it's very easy to play. I just click on it, scroll to the soccer section, pick a player for a specific match, and select the stats I believe will be lower or higher. It's very easy to play. I usually pick the downside of the stats because hate watching a player is much more fun. Trust me. But then again, analyze the players, his stats, who they're facing, and how he has been doing before you make your pick, so you can make sure to win. Underdog also has their very own predictions market. And you can download the app right now using the link in the description of this video and the promo code TACTICAL. And in the process, you'll be helping the channel and yourself. Because new customers get $50 in bonus entries after they play $5 and use the promo code TACTICAL. We got very creative with it. So again, don't forget to use the link in the description and the promo code TACTICAL. And thank you very much, Underdog, for sponsoring the channel. Okay, we are back. And why don't we start by talking about the last time the United States hosted a World Cup in 1994. Okay, so that was the last World Cup till now that a few third place teams also advanced to the knockout rounds, right? From 1998 to 2022, only the top two of each group would advance. And in 1994, the United States did advance in third place while hosting the World Cup. But the group was tough. They had Romania in the group. That was a very tough team back then. Trust me, Romania was very good. Switzerland, that's always competitive, a good team. And by the way, Switzerland did advance in second place. United States, the host nation, that at that time, the U.S. didn't have a good team, talent-wise. And then you had Colombia. And this is not even a version of Colombia like the one we have now. This Colombia was a title contender, believe it or not. They were incredible in South America that cycle. Pelé even had them as the favorites to win the World Cup because they trashed Argentina in World Cup qualifying, if I'm not mistaken. Pelé put them ahead of Brazil that ultimately won that World Cup. So the United States was placed in a very tough group. And because a few third-place teams advanced, the U.S. was able to advance with 4 points. So again, hosting the World Cup, less talented team, with a very tough group, and they still advance. That's why I'm saying if the United States gets grouped in the 2026 World Cup, we might as well quit the sport. And honestly, all the players in this World Cup shouldn't play for the national team ever again because it's ridiculous if we get grouped. Now let's go to 1998, where the United States actually didn't really have a good World Cup. And in that World Cup, the United States got grouped. They finished in last. And the group the US was in had Germany. That was a very good team. And Yugoslavia. Germany and Yugoslavia, at that time, they had better teams than any team in our group right now. So that was a tough group. And then we had Iran in that group. That Iran was just there to piss off the United States. And piss off the United States, they did. Ultimately, the United States finished in last and didn't go through to the next round in 1998. But again, look at this group. A much tougher group than the current one because only the top two advance, and you had two extremely strong teams in your group, Germany and Yugoslavia. Then we have the 2002 World Cup, right? 2002 was the best World Cup in U.S. men's national team history, where we made it to the quarterfinals and then Germany cheated to advance to the semifinals. Now, in that World Cup, the United States was placed in a group with South Korea, the host nation, that refs were helping them left and right. They had a strong team, but the refs were their best player. Then you had the United States that finished in second, only the top two advanced. You also had Portugal with a very strong team that made it to the Euros final 2 years later. They also were led by Luis Figo that won a Ballon d'Or. And the other team in the group was Poland, a competitive team. They were no pushover. So again, South Korea that made it to the semifinals with the refs helping a lot and a strong team. United States, Portugal with Luis Figo, and 2 years later they would make it to the Euro final where they lost to Greece actually, which is kind of funny. And then you have Poland that was competitive. Look at that group and compare to the one in 2026. Now let's go to the 2006 World Cup where the United States got grouped in that one. So we had Italy in our group. They won that World Cup. So the World Cup champions. Then you had Ghana, the one that had Michael Essien, a great Ghana side. That was a very good Ghana national team. Then in the same group as the United States, you also had the Czech Republic. And that was a very good Czech Republic side. They had Pavel Nedved, Peter Cech was in that team. Rosicky, that played for Arsenal, also was in that team. Milan Baros. That was a very good Czech Republic team that got grouped. Look at that group. Italy, the World Cup champions. Ghana, Czech Republic with a Ballon d'Or winner, Pavel Nedved, and many other good players around him. Peter Cech, a world-class goalkeeper. compare that group to 2026. And on top of that, in that World Cup, only the top 2 advance. You could finish in third, you would not go through. It's insane. And then we have the 2010 group. That one I kind of concede. It's probably not the toughest group. It's still tougher than 2026, but it's probably one of the weakest ones we've had. I mean, England is just England. They have a lot of talent, but they're dysfunctional. Then we have Slovenia, right, if I'm not mistaken, and Algeria. Slovenia and Algeria, I don't really rate them. They're probably at the level in this World Cup as Australia, maybe below Turkey. Yeah, actually below Turkey, probably the same level as Paraguay. But again, England, for that World Cup, on paper, they were title contenders. Obviously, they were dysfunctional. Thank you, Robert Green, also for helping us get that draw. And they lost to Germany in the next round. But still, that is a slightly tougher group than 2026 for 2 reasons. One, you have England that's better than every team in this group right now. 2, only the top 2 advance. Then we have the 2014 World Cup. And this group was wild for the United States, right? We have Germany that won the 2014 World Cup. They beat Brazil 7-1. They were in the group of the United States. You had Portugal with prime Cristiano Ronaldo and a good team around them as well, in the same group as the United States. And then you had Ghana, which wasn't as good as the 2006 and maybe the Ghanas of the past, but it was still a tough Ghana side, a very good team. Better than probably every team we have in our group right now, right? So we advanced in that group in Brazil in 2014 with the current champions, or the ones that won the World Cup, Portugal with prime Ronaldo. Even though we know Ronaldo struggles in World Cup, that is 2014 Ronaldo. That is one scary player right there. And then you have Ghana, a very competitive team. Compare that, I'm saying this every time, but compare that to the 2026 group. And only the top 2 advanced, and the US did advance. Last but not least, we have the 2022 World Cup group, which also is probably not one of the toughest ones. Probably more comparable to 2010, a little bit stronger than 2026. But here's the thing. Iran is not really a pushover. That's a tough team. And they had Taremi that was in great form. That was a tough Iran side, and we barely beat them. Wales, the country, they're a tough team. Not super talented, but a tough team, kind of like Scotland, right? Not easy to beat, and they had Gareth Bale well past his prime, but Gareth Bale is Gareth Bale. And we did advance out of that group in second place, and we had England. This was a much better version of England as a team than 2010, right? England lost in the quarterfinals to France, but this English side, they were actual title contenders for the World Cup. So 2022 is definitely tougher than 2026, especially because only the top 2 advance. But alongside 2010, I would place it as among our weakest groups. But as you can see, after I've gone through all these groups from 1994 to 2022, along with the fact that you can't advance in third place, the 2026 World Cup is a super weak and easy group, where the United States, by no means, there's no excuse, they have to get out of this group. There's simply no excuse. And this is not me being arrogant. It's actually putting pressure on this team. There are no excuses. They have to advance. Now, mind you, this same generation of American players got grouped in the Copa America in 2024. In a group with Uruguay, that is fine under Marcelo Bielsa, but not the toughest team right now in CONMEBOL. Panama and Bolivia, not in the altitude. So my point here, don't underestimate this team's ability to shit the bed. Regardless, I'm still going to be putting pressure on this. This is an easy group, and the United States should advance. These are my thoughts on this topic. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. And again, don't be afraid to speak the truth. Like, if an opponent is not good, just say it. This crap of like, we have to respect every opponent and all that, respect the opponent by beating the crap out of them, right? And I'm not calling Turkey or Paraguay bad teams. I think they're competitive teams. But like I said, you're not expecting them to go past the round of 16 or round 32. In Australia, much weaker side than we've seen in the past. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and have a great day.